Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Heavily Contested Podcast, the podcast where...
I just wanted to say happy holidays to you guys and Merry Halloween. Hope you guys have a terrible Thanksgiving. I'm having a bad holidays. You know why? Because everybody sucks.
I think it's Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas?
You got it wrong. It's not Merry Halloween. It's Happy Christmas.
Anyways, guys, it's been a very traumatic week.
That's one way to describe it. That's one way. But you know what? Let's hold off on that. We know what Travis is talking about. If you know the podcast, you know what team he always is faithful to. But we'll start with basketball this time. Now, first of all, we're back. We took a bit of a hiatus, school, finals, whatever, you know, all that. But we're back. So, a lot has happened since then, so we're going to try to cover a lot of it. First one, and this is Travis's idea, not mine, before you think of what a blasphemous question. Travis wanted to ask the question if the Lakers are back on track.
And what's it looking like, Dro?
They're not even close.
What you mean we're not on track?
No, they're not even close. No, okay.
We're the fifth seed.
You want to go first? I feel like
all right, this is what I wanted to say, guys.
I want to hear what your thought is into this.
LeBron has been injured. He's becoming a menace in the league. What a lot of people are saying, like he grabs his crotch and stuff, and says what he wants to say, does what he wants to do, and he's one of the oldest people in the league. Now he gets injured now because of how old he is, and I think it's pretty evident how much the Lakers needed him. They're about 5-7 without him playing, and in their most recent games, they have won. Mostly due to the fact of LeBron James. And I think the big thing that has changed with the Lakers is they have a all-star roster, right?
Yeah.
Now people are starting to learn their roles. We know that the big three, now it's 100% who the big three is. It's not Melo. Melo's not involved in that. It's Russell Westbrook, AD, and LeBron. Mm-hmm. And, you know what I'm saying, that Melo might put a little something up in here. Malik Monk might put a little something up in there. And Taylor Horton Tucker, those are our, three bench guys, three role players, Mm-hmm. And everybody else, you might get in when we want you to get in. But I think the Lakers have learned their roles, and they dominated a team that they were supposed to dominate.
You're talking about that Celtics game,
right? The Celtics game.
Okay. They actually did have a great game against the Celtics, and I would say it's their best game they've had, the big three has had together, collectively. They haven't been together most of the season, as Travis mentioned before. LeBron James has been injured a lot of games. He's only played 13 games this season, compared to the 20 or more that we're already onto in this NBA season. So it hasn't had a chance to fully collectively be there, right? That could also throw off the chemistry a little bit. This was their best game with the big three organized. Russell Westbrook, 9 of 16, 24 points. LeBron James, great field goal percentage again, 13 of 19, 30 points. Anthony Davis, 7 of 13, 17 points. I can't say that they're back on track, though. That's one good game. It can't be the full stating factor that a team is back on track. A good example of this that I will use is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are back on track because they went. We had to talk about this too. The Bucks in trouble because they were sitting, below at the 10 seed, and they were looking bad early on. They won, I think it was 8 games in a row, and then only lose it 2 more and continuing to win after that as well. That's back on track. And especially because of the standards that we have for this Lakers team. We need this team to show a lot more to be back on track. Because on track for them is a much higher level than a lot of other NBA teams.
They should be number one.
They should be unstoppable.
They should be the Warriors right now.
They should be unstoppable.
All right, so.
But, for me, I don't see them back on track. I still don't see this Lakers team. Right now, with the way they're playing, they don't beat the Warriors. They don't beat the Warriors right now. Especially when the Warriors get Klay Thompson and James Wiseman back. That's going to be fun to see as well.
When is Klay Thompson supposed to come?
Before Christmas.
So in like the next week or two. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see.
But you get what I'm saying?
I mean what you know. But, yeah, I have a lot of faith in my Lakers. And I feel like they're kind of like a team. They don't really care about the regular season. They're just fooling around. They just want to make it to the playoffs.
That's dangerous, though.
And, yeah, that's what happens when you have an old team.
That's dangerous, though, because if the Lakers get, the Warriors or if they get Phoenix in the first round, they get a tougher opponent to run through.
Not Phoenix. I wouldn't be scared of Phoenix. But
are you sure? Phoenix right now, 20-4. Chris Paul leading the charge.
I wouldn't care about Phoenix, but I'll leave that alone.
Hey, okay, dude. All right, man.
I have another question that, it really means a little something to me right now. Mm-hmm. Being from the Bay Area, mm-hmm. we all have a great love for a basketball player by the name of Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
And
out of Oaktown.
Yeah, he's been on a team that's been known to just either win a lot of games but lose to the Warriors, mm-hmm. or lose to the Clippers. Or, they just end up losing. They're always like above average, but they're never taking that next step.
They're never, they don't have a third guy either, too. It's always...
And now they don't even have a second guy.
Yes.
And we don't know how long CJ McCollum...
First of all, it was a collapsed lung injury, it can be severe in many cases. Thankfully, so far, we haven't heard that it's not life-threatening or anything severe to that extent. But it does look like it'll be an injury that'll take him out for a while. And now Portland's sitting at 11-15. Mm-hmm. Needs to start looking in the mirror and wondering what they got to do with the future. What do you think they should do? Now that CJ McCollum is out, what's Portland's next step? Do they try to ride with what they got still, or do they have to clean house?
Honestly, this roster is not going to be good enough. Damian Lillard as your number one player, mm-hmm. you'll be fine like that. CJ McCollum, I've always felt like...
I thought CJ McCollum's underrated.
He's underrated, but mm-hmm. I don't feel like they coexist with each other well. I feel like Dame needs a dominant center, or he needs a small forward, not another guard. That's what I've always felt. I felt like he could really thrive with another great small forward, a big man.
But you don't think he would... he was thriving with CJ McCollum, though. In the end, you got to remember those playoffs.
But CJ McCollum doesn't play defense. They both don't play defense.
CJ McCollum's had some... Here's the one thing I think about CJ McCollum is whenever I think of it, I think of those big playoff moments where when Dame wasn't there to step up,
McCollum was there,
CJ McCollum came through, stepped up big time. The biggest one I could talk about is when Portland made their biggest playoff run all the way to the Western Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. And CJ... had that big 40-point game in Game 7 against... it was either 40 or 30 points, but it was a high-scoring game where he was just on fire against Denver. Mm-hmm. And he was able to, in Game 7, and help them move on to the series. And he made a great defensive play, which was a great block on Jamal Murray as well. Chase down block. So McCollum has its moments. I don't think McCollum so much is... It's not the fact that they don't mesh. It is the fact that they just don't have another guy, though. I agree to that other point.
Yeah, I feel like they both... Damian Lillard's never been known for playing defense. Mm-hmm. CJ McCollum is not even an average defender.
Yeah.
And with his size and effort he puts in on that side as well. So I feel like that together... Yes, their scoring is great. Mm-hmm. But obviously, defense wins games. So if you can get a great defender...
he's averaging a steal per game. It's not like he's horrible, though.
He's not horrible, but he's not a good defender.
Well, he's not like an elite.
Yeah, and I feel like Kawhi and Damian Lillard, oh my gosh, that would be... Or Damian Lillard and Paul George, that would be great. I think he needs another great small forward. And if they don't do that, trade Damian Lillard and let's start all over.
Well, okay. The two names you mentioned are impossible to get.
They're impossible to get, but I'm saying that's what...
Yeah, I get what you said. That's what they need, though, right?
Yeah.
The only guy that I see possibly would be Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons would be great for the team.
It would be great for the team because we know Damian Lillard as kind of that ball-dominant point guard, but I think he's also a point guard that can survive off ball.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
He's a great shooter.
He's a great shooter. He's a great shooter, and he is a great finisher as well. He doesn't need to be the one taking it down the floor every time. And it would work because then Ben Simmons is known as a great facilitator. He's not really known for scoring, but then he's known for defense. Mm-hmm. And he brings that final piece to that team, a third star, and to kind of help out Portland. Yeah. I think you don't want to lose Damian. You don't.
You don't. Cause
you don't.
Then it's all over.
It's a full-scale rebuild that could take years to kind of get back on track. To even just get back in like a 8 or 7 seed. And even though Damian Lillard's having his worst career year with a 39% field goal percentage right now, he's having trouble catching rhythm, but I expect him to get back in shape. The thing is it's still not going to help when, CJ McCollum's out and you don't have another guy to look to. I think you need to get Ben Simmons. I say you go and you get Ben Simmons. Trade a first-round pick for him.
They don't need a draft pick.
No, and here's the thing, too. If Portland isn't willing to give up first-round draft picks to get guys now to help this team win now, then you might as well get rid of Damian Lillard too. Because that means you're not looking to win now.
Yeah.
So you might as well go fully commit to the future.
Yeah. And
you might as well go and just get a whole bunch of first-round draft picks if that's what you're going to do. I think people overrate how important first-round draft picks are to winning teams. If you're a team that is in winning contention already, those first-round draft picks, you could be okay shoving those off. You could live without them. The real problem would be is if you don't really use those first round draft picks to possibly get someone that you can get now to win, then you kind of then what's the point? Then you might as well just fully pursue the future. Mm-hmm. So that's what I see for Portland. It's Ben Simmons, so you might as well just trade deadline and see if you could get a house for Damian Lillard right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think he would go for 2 first round picks.
Maybe more. Remember how many first round picks Paul George went for?
Well.
And you got to imagine a team that's probably like in contention is going to really go for him, right? A team that wants to win now would trade those first round picks for Damian Lillard.
Clippers
Westbrook?
Sounds great.
Are they not back on track?
No, let's send Westbrook over to the Trailblazers. Just bring.
That would just increase fire to that.
I think Damian Lillard to the Clippers would be nice though.
Oh, he would be a great fit there.
Yeah.
He'd be a great fit.
That's the 2 names that I said earlier.
Yeah, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. You just want to pair. Yeah. But here's the thing. The Clippers already traded their first-round picks.
Yeah, so.
Their future for Paul George already. So they don't have first-round picks until Lord knows when.
Yeah, but I think that the Trailblazers either need to find a way to get more talent, trade your future, or
to win now, or
go all the way into the future. If is not a thing.
You got to commit to something. You can't just stay in a middle ground because then you're not going to succeed in neither.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So find what you if you feel like you want to really give it a shot to give Damian Lillard a chance to compete with these other great teams, get him another guy. If not, then fully go through with the future. Yeah. It might be time for you and Damian Lillard to part ways.
Might be.
Speaking of point guards, right now, that brings us to the next one. The last episode that we did a top 3 shooting guards. Now, actually, I want to make a correction here. Paul George is listed as a shooting guard now.
He is?
He is.
Oh.
Paul George is listed as a shooting guard. Now, I said in my listing that Donovan Mitchell is the best point guard in the league. Shooting guard in the league, followed by Devin Booker and Zach LaVine. Paul George is the best shooting guard in the league. If he's going to be listed as a shooting guard, he is the best shooting guard in the league. I don't know if Travis could agree to that point.
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yes. I don't
Defender, facilitator, ball handler. Yeah. It's just he does everything to a higher level than Donovan Mitchell. Right now at this point in their careers.
That's about right.
Yeah. So that's the one correction I felt like I needed to make before anyone might have caught that. Now we go to our top 3 point guards in the league right now.
Ooh. Now,
could be interesting.
The number 1's not interesting
because we all know who it is. So
LeBron James, he's a great player. He's the best passer of all time. Yeah, he's the number 1 point guard.
And yet he's listed as a small forward. Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry, we can't. Not everything could go to LeBron James these days. Okay. All right, but you don't want to just do that because we already know who number 1 is?
We already know who number 1 is. It's,
Steph Curry.
Stephen Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
And
it's Steph Curry. Just a quick thing I want to say about Steph is right now he is the MVP favorite right now.
Ooh. Yeah,
by a long shot, too, actually. I don't see...
Because he's dominating on his team as well.
His team is top in the league right now, and his level of play right now is just on another level.
Although he could have broke the record, and he kind of sold.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to see you go crazy to beat the record, Steph. Come on, man.
Shame on Steph Curry for not making 16 three-pointers in a game.
I know, bro. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Shame on him. You know what that shows? It's just how big of expectations we have for greatness.
You didn't make 16 in a
greatness.
Game? Are you slow or something? What's going on today?
God.
So, yeah, obviously Steph is number 1.
And just one thing underrated about Steph Curry's game. Everyone wants to talk about his shooting. I want to talk about his finishing ability. Has improved greatly over his career. He is underrated slithery finisher.
No, he is. Yeah.
And you know,
he ain't got no athletic ability.
Everyone talks about that little high arcing layup that he manages to do, where he just gets up in the air.
You can't block it.
But you can't block it. He has a great inside game, and what I will say is he's a smart defender. He has 1.8 steals right now. Yeah. He's averaging.
He's very good at because he's not athletic and he doesn't have a great
size. Well,
he
is athletic.
Not for the NBA.
Okay, well.
For a normal person, he's athletic. He's 6'3".
Travis, it sounds like you're just...
Dunking is easy to him.
It should be. Well, okay, but you know, he has good speed, good... Athleticism just isn't all vertical,
man. He has a terrible vertical.
Yeah, okay. That I can't argue with that one.
He has a terrible vertical because he's 6'3" and he can't really dunk.
Yeah, so I can agree with that.
But he is pretty fast, so I'll take back what I said. Mm-hmm.
But he's smart. He's a smart defender.
He's a smart defender. He makes up for his lack of length and size, with his intelligence.
Exactly. Yeah. So Steph Curry, number 1. That's clear cut, obvious.
Yeah, this is where it gets a little interesting.
Now This is where it gets
interesting.
Let's go from 3 to 2, I guess, because then now we'll just go in order again, because I feel like going down from 2 to 3 would kind of lose that suspense.
Okay. Well... Okay, so I'm going to say the 2 people who did not make the list.
Okay.
Very weird to say. I think recently, in most recent years, you would say that he was probably number 2, but he's deranked himself. We've talked about him earlier in this episode. Damian Lillard did not make my list because he's having a terrible season. I don't care what you did in the past. What are you doing now?
What are you doing now?
And he's not doing it. Another honorable mention that I got to say is a guy that's really showing up, and eventually he might make this list because I have an older player in this list, and his name is Moran. Moran. Yeah. He didn't make the list, but I think he's in the 4 or 5. He might be better than Damian Lillard this year, but
so far he's been playing better, I think. But yes, I think he is in the argument.
So Moran, he's been scoring 40-point games. If he doesn't,
he has Memphis right now sitting at the 4 seed right now, 14 and 11.
Yeah, he's Lamar Jackson. Moran is the equivalent to Lamar Jackson in the NBA. So I got to throw him in there. Now, my actual number 3 is Luka Doncic. Now, Luka Doncic, man. So, Luka, obviously, we know how talented he is.
Yes.
And we know that okay, if I said Steph was unathletic, this is the most unathletic star I've ever seen in my life, besides Dirk. And they both play for the same franchise. But Luka, man, he triple-double machine, affects the game in so many different ways.
Great scorer.
I just think he needs a little bit of help. Now, the reason why he's not number 2 is because his team is not at the place that this player's team is, and his name is Chris Paul. I put Chris Paul at number 2, not just because of the fact that the Suns are good, right? Not just because of that, but also because his team last year went to the finals, and I think that Chris Paul is the key piece why the Suns work. It's not mainly on Devin Booker. If Chris Paul doesn't play, I think he has a huge impact on the team. The point guard.
Wow.
At number 2.
Surprising that I could agree with your list.
I appreciate it.
So, I don't have the same order.
Oh.
Okay. So, let me just say my honorable mentions. I agree. Ja Morant deserves to be mentioned. Yeah. Especially because I think later in his career, he'll definitely start taking one of these spots here. As well as Damian Lillard. Because it's Damian Lillard. In the end, you still have to give your respect to Dame.
Yeah.
Another one. James Harden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Technically classifies as a point guard. But I wanted to take this time to tell everyone that I am not too much of a fan of James Harden in his game.
Ooh.
I personally...
He's a very lazy player.
Dare I say it, slightly overrated. I think so.
Well,
because
now, but he was great
well,
year.
he's a great scorer, you know? Like, that's what they claim, right? But, you know, James Harden... Like, I see a lot of his stat sheets in games, you know.
Free throws.
It's taking 20 free throws a game, and, you know, it's kind of like up into the double digits with free throws, which, credit to him, he knows how to work the refs, and he knows how to.
Well,
I don't try to blame him too much, but I don't think he's as versatile of a scorer as people say, and especially now. Now
that the refs have changed the way that they call things, James Harden no longer gets the calls that he used to get.
No, he does not.
Like, Steph also was a master of getting and one on his threes by stretching his legs out. James Harden did a similar thing, and now it doesn't work out for him.
It doesn't work out. See, yeah. I think you know, he's not as an efficient shooter as people think. Now, what I have to say is I liked what he did last year, being the facilitator, you know, kind of working. He took a step back. He basically said, I'm going to take the step back. I'm going to work on dishing out the ball, helping out my teammates.
He loves doing step backs.
And it worked. It worked for James Harden, you know. I'm not seeing that much this year, right now. I'm not seeing that full-on facilitator. Of course, he's still getting high level of assists, but I don't see him really kind of working and engineering the floor like he was last year.
Yeah.
So I have to move him out. Also, his shooting percentage has been really bad this year compared to other years, especially as we just mentioned, with the lack of foul calls. Like this past game, James Harden had 25 points on 4 of 16 shooting.
It's not bad, 25%.
Where do you think he got his points from?
The free throw line.
Exactly. Because you don't see other guys going 4 of 16.
I think I shot 4 for 16 at the park yesterday.
Exactly. How many points did you get? Maybe 8?
Yeah.
See? Exactly. No, not saying that we're dumb enough to compare park games.
I'm better than James Harden, man.
Not to say that we're trying to compare.
I'm him.
Not trying to say we compare park games to the NBA. But it's just the idea of when you look at it all, the stats, the numbers don't tell the entire story, because then you see like how many of his points actually come off free throws, and I think it's a little more evident when it comes to the playoff time, because they don't make those calls that much, and then you see those games where all of a sudden it's like, oh, Harden didn't come through in the clutch. I wonder why.
That's about right.
I wonder why. So for me, I sound like a hater. I don't hate the guy, but I do think that he
suck. Hey, James Harden, you suck, man.
I do think he's been a little overrated throughout his career.
He needs to come to Coney Island and take a spin on the Cyclone.
I miss you. And then so your point guards. You had Chris Paul listed at 2. You had Luka listed at 3. I flipped those. I had Paul listed at 3. Like you said though, Chris Paul at his age, leading the Suns right now without Devin Booker, and they're still winning games, having one of the top records in the league. And it's Chris Paul averaging double-digit assists, being the facilitator he is. He's the point guard. Point guard. You know, one of the best of all time at that position. You know, so that should go without saying. And my number 2 is Luka. The reason why I put Luka at number 2 is because I still feel like he in a sense is doing more with less.
Very factual. He needs help. He
does need help. And I could see why, Chris Paul's team doing well could definitely make him a little more favorable to being considered the better point guard. But I do want to say that the Mavericks still have a very solid record.
Yeah, they're still doing cool.
They're still doing very good. And Luka's stat line is incredible. he would probably be my second for MVP right now. 25.6 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 8.5 assists per game. That is high in both of those categories right there. He is truly a facilitator. You know, and he's much different than a lot of other point. Obviously, because of the fact that he's, you know, much taller than other point guards, he could be listed as a small forward.
I think he's 6'7".
Yeah. But really, what Luka is much different than a lot of the players. You know, point guards use their speed, their quickness. He's actually very similar to Chris Paul in a sense, because Chris Paul uses his body and his size a little more. Because nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Luka is the same. Luka isn't quick. He's not the one to speed right by you to get the layup. Luka uses his strength and his body, and it doesn't look like it, but he's much stronger than people give him credit for.
He looks a little fat to me.
He does look a little fat, but he comes with power, you know, for Luka. So he's a slow, methodical player. He knows how to read the court well, get his guys open, and then he's just, of course, a great scorer. Yeah. You know?
So I got the top 3 point guards in the league. We got Luka, Steph Curry, and Chris Paul. Point guard Paul.
And you could put Luka and Paul in any order, but Curry has to be number 1.
This is one of the first lists that me and Dro actually agree on.
Oh, very much. Yeah, I'm impressed. I was expecting to see Harden on your list, and I was thinking I was going to have to go on a tangent again. But I respect that we had the same idea for James.